Hello, songwriters. Stanton West here, and welcome to the Songwriters Masterclass. Today, we will cover the topic of creativity. And the definition of creativity is the ability to transcend traditional ideas, rules, patterns, relationships, or the like, and to create meaningful new ideas, forms, methods, and interpretations. So, some synonyms for creativity are originality, progressiveness, innovation, resilience, imagination, and intuition. Look beyond what is traditionally done. For example, these pumpkins. A friend told me they used a hand drill to make eye holes in a pumpkin, and that way they'd be perfectly round. I took it further and used other vegetables and acorns to build upon that idea and inspiration I gleaned from a book called Play With Your Food, and created something entirely new from an old way of doing things. So I took the jack-o'-lantern and came up with this. Foundational inspirational creates the sensational. I believe firmly that creativity can be taught. Creativity and creative thinking is a skill and can be honed just like any other, limited only by the boundaries of our imagination. But before you can write a song, you must first prepare your mind, similar to a farmer who prepares the soil before planting seeds. First, you must learn as much as you can about your song farm and its practices. Become intimately familiar with your craft and the instruments you need. Then you water, nurture, and weed. When you have the necessary tools and resources, you'll set yourself up for success. Then you can watch your creation grow until it's time to do the work it will take to harvest your song crop. Songwriting requires using two sides of your brain, the right rational, analytical, organizational brain in harmony with the left side, the creative, intuitive, imaginative flow state. Frustration can arise at the point when the rational, analytical mind is searching for a solution and reaches the limit of its abilities. The rational mind can only take it so far and take a song so far. If you talk to people who have done really creative things, they'll tell you about the long hours of anguish, frustration, and all the preparation before something clicks, and then bam, you move forward with great leaps. But you can't make that leap without exhausting your rational brain out first. The rational mind has its place later on in the songwriting process, but we must first learn to shut down that mind so we can truly embrace our creative selves. Although no one enjoys frustration and despair, people who sustain their creativity over the course of a lifetime do come to accept periods of anguish as necessary parts of the whole creative process. We must adapt and spend more time refining our exquisite ideas. We cannot control or solve problems with fixed rules and routines and predictability. We must have the freedom to experiment and embrace uncertainty. The creative person always walks 2 steps into the darkness. Everybody can see what's in the light. They can imitate it. They can understand it. They can modify it, and they can reshape it. But the real heroes delve in the darkness of the unknown. Accepting that there is an inevitable darkness before the dawn helps in many ways. When you see darkness as a necessary prelude to the creative life, you are less likely to have frustration over personal inadequacy or label it bad. The more positive view of anxiety can foster a greater willingness to persist in trying to problem solve, in spite of the frustration. This is why many great artists that often suffer. Another reason artists are known to suffer is that creativity is a coping strategy to deal with trauma by transmuting negative experiences and emotions into a creative outlet. But we will get into that in another lesson. People often fail to solve problems not because the problems are unsolvable, but because they give up prematurely. Persistence. Persistence can be seen as one of your greatest allies in songwriting in all parts of life. However, there often comes a point when the wisest course of action is to cease all effort. At this moment, the rational mind surrenders to the problem, and the creative mind is allowed to work its magic. Oftentimes, I have one great idea that I will sit on for a year or more until another matching idea comes its way. Once that idea has a friend, the rest of the song often just falls into place. Once you have mulled over all the relevant pieces and pushed your rational mind to the limits, you can let the problem simmer. This is what I would call the incubation stage, when you digest all the information you have gathered. Preparation demands active work. Incubation is a more passive stage when much of what goes on occurs outside your focused awareness, in the mind's unconscious. As the saying goes, you should sleep on it. Your mind continues to seek a solution whether or not you can consciously think about the problem or not. The answer may come to you in a dream. We are in that dreamlike state when we are on the verge of sleep, or when you're just about to wake up in the morning. We often underestimate the power of the unconscious mind, but it is far more suited to creative insight than the conscious mind. There are no self-censoring judgments in the unconscious mind. Ideas are free to recombine with other ideas in novel patterns and unpredictable associations in a kind of promiscuous fluidity. Oftentimes, I will write a song and not know what it's about until it's finished. It is a way for my unconscious mind to let my conscious mind know what has been preoccupying it. Another strength of the unconscious mind is that it is a storehouse of everything we know. It is more data from which to draw upon then. The unconscious speaks to us in ways that go beyond words. It speaks to us through feelings and emotions, inklings, if you will. What the unconscious mind knows excludes the deep feelings and rich imagery that constitutes the intelligence of all the senses. What the unconscious mind knows is often more apparent as a sense or feeling, or like I said before, an inkling. We call this kind of knowing intuition. When we trust our intuition, we are really turning to the wisdom of that unconscious mind. Songwriting starts with opening yourself up to all possibilities by trusting your intuition. It's when you let your imagination roam free that you open yourself up to creative freedom. You can do that in a couple ways. Here, brainstorming or free writing as a way to nurture that trust in your intuition. You can explore both of these tools by opening the free writing workshop in the download section after this course or this video. Although allow yourself to connect to the open realm of possibilities without worry of the end product in this stage of the process. Your song is just beginning to sprout. Your mind is like a radio antenna. Beep, 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 beep. When you can open yourself up to the right frequency, you can dial in your songcraft. You can turn it on and get tuned in. By being in the right headspace, you can channel it. The song is already written. You just need to find what channel it's on by tuning in to the right frequency. Then your song becomes a vibration that gets sent out into the world and interacts with those tuned in to that frequency. This holds true for any genre of music and actually any art form. There's an invisible presence of a stream of ever-flowing creativity that we overhear. All you have to do is pull up the antenna and dial it in. This presence allows you to maintain your sense of origin and move forward. All right. So being receptive, being able to openly tune in without judgment is a crucial skill here. When we see only the obvious way of looking at a problem, the same comfortable way we always think about it, we create a huge barrier. This includes self-censorship, that inner voice of judgment that confines creative self within the boundaries of what we deem acceptable. It's the voice of judgment that whispers to you to think, I'm foolish. That will never work. That's too obvious. We can learn to recognize this voice of judgment and have the courage to discount its destructive advice. I call these voices the itty-bitty-nitty committee. The word nitty being short for nitpicky, nagging at you to be perfect in an imperfect world. Learning to silence that self-critical inner voice, that itty-bitty-nitty committee that censors your ideas before they reach fruition is not even you. You are the creator. Those inner voices are not you. They're everyone else projecting their inadequate ideas and beliefs about the world onto you. They are schools or teachers or your boss or any naysayers, really. Your parents growing up. So in every work of genius, we recognize our own rejected thoughts. The man with a new idea is a crank until that idea succeeds. Has this ever happened to you? You've been mulling something over for a long time when all of a sudden, when you're not even thinking about it, a solution, suddenly a solution presents itself out of nowhere. You can't help but wonder, why didn't I think of that before? It is in these such moments you made contact with your creative self, the elusive muse of all great songs. It is when you stop trying to think that you come up with your best ideas. Many people get their best ideas in the shower or while driving in the car, sitting quietly on a bench in nature, or just before they fall asleep. Others find inspiration while exercising. When the mind is left alone in a state of wonder, only then is it allowed to wander. There's no one way that a song always happens. Let your mind wander. Chase the muse and figure out what you'll do with the song later. There's no one way that a song always happens. You must let your mind wander. To find inspiration, be uncompromising in setting time aside to daydream. Allow yourself to enjoy the journey and early steps of a song, and don't think about the end results yet. Allow yourself a second to pull a song into the world and make a bed for it. And be kind to yourself. Every misstep will be forgotten in the greater scheme of things on your creative journey. When the creative mind starts to stir, it can animate your whole being, a lifetime filled with the desire to innovate, to explore new ways of doing things, and to bring dreams to reality. No matter who you are, the creative self can enter your life at any moment. Creative moments are vital to everything we do in all areas of our lives, even songwriting. When you take a new approach to what you're doing and the new approach works, you're using that creative mind. You're being innovative. I encourage you to help still the dreaded inner voice of self-judgment, the itty-bitty, nitty-committy, and awake your sense of wonder and intuition. Everyone is capable of tapping into his or her own creative mind. When you experience your own originality, you gain more creative confidence and the greater probability that you'll continue to be creative. A successful songwriter is someone who gives other people a different way of looking at the world. A successful songwriter is someone who puts into words, sounds, and patterns the powerful emotions and ideas that people identify with, but can't describe themselves. This is the concept of empathy and plays a large enough role in songwriting that it will be in its own chapter in a later course. We are more open to insights from the unconscious mind in moments when we have time, when we're not thinking of anything in particular. That is why daydreams are so useful in the quest for creativity. Anytime you can just daydream and relax is useful in the creative process. Anytime you can just daydream and relax is useful when writing a song. So designate a quiet space and find time to use it. When your mind is let go of its inner judges and you lose all self-consciousness, then you are able to be more creative. This is the Zen idea of what they call no mind, or often called being in the flow state. The flow state is when the mind is in a complete absorption in what it's doing. In Zen, the concept of no mind is the same for the consciousness of the universe itself. The mind of the individual and the mind of the universe are regarded as one. So by emptying oneself of one smaller individual mind, and by losing the individual's intense self-consciousness, we are able to tap into the larger, more creative, universal mind, sometimes called the supra-conscious or the supra-consciousness. No-mindedness, or being in the flow state, is not a state of unawareness. It's actually the opposite. It is the precise awareness during which one is undisturbed by the mind's usual distracting inner chatter. Your mind is like flowing water in and around rocks down a stream. It is the experience of letting go. It is an ecstatic state of total joy, a stream of flowing consciousness. It is an extreme moment of focus and non-focus in the same moment. Be here. Be here now. Children naturally live in this flow state. We can all try to be more like children, wondrous and spontaneous. For them, anything is possible and everything is conceivable. It is outside influences that suppress creativity, such as following the rules of schools, adapting to parental expectations, or fitting into societal norms. You must see the world with the wonder of a child and employ the precision of a scientist. Then your job is to play with words and songs. Your job is to experiment. Your job is to try different things. A child's state of being is similar to an adult who is just about to fall asleep, where dreams and reality mix, the twilight zone. When a child grows up, those free-flowing neurological connections die, whilst others settle into patterns that will be retained throughout their entire life. Nurturing creativity starts at a young age. Stifling of creativity can also start at a young age. Some creativity killers, especially in children. Over-surveillance, feeling like you're being watched. Over-evaluation or judgment. Using reward systems takes away the doing it for the sake of doing it. And then they start doing it for the reward and not for the creativity and the enjoyment they find in that. Implementing competition, that shifts the focus from the creative part to the competition or winning. Over control, having too many boundaries. Restricting choices takes the fun right out of it. Grandiose expectations and high pressure. These just cause anxiety, and it's hard to be creative when you're anxious. And overscheduling. Intrinsic motivation is crucial and can be cultivated by allowing for open-ended time so you can savor and explore the unknown. But we live in this hurry up, hurry up, hurry up society. So make time and find time. Tell yourself it's okay to just sit and be. Tapping into your creative self is only step one in the process. The next step is to access your organizational brain, the editor, and go back and make sense of the intuitive information that you've received. And so songwriting is like building a home. You need the building materials, which I call the creative mind or the intuitive mind, and you need the right tools, the organizational mind or the editor's mind, and that will create your song shelter. I will dedicate an entire chapter to the organization and editing later in this program. First, we need to focus on growing and strengthening our imaginative roots. I like that. Successful people. So here's a little chart. Successful people versus unsuccessful people. I'll have this available for download so you can print it out and put it up. I think it's really helpful for me when I look at this and I want to approach not just songwriting, but my entire life. If we are to persevere, despite our obstacles, we have to stop imagining all the reasons why something can't work and start thinking about all the ways that it can work. So curb your cynicism and harsh judgments of yourself and others. Demand an atmosphere of respect and live in an environment where you have the confidence to share your inspirations with others, because you know by living a better life, you make other lives better. We often go through our days on automatic pilot. We like people and situations to be predictable. We enjoy the habitual and we like to avoid surprises. But there is a downside to that routine. We easily become fixed in our own ways of being. Our expectations of how things are supposed to be replaces our ability to see. Each day, find something different from your routine, and your world will open up. Deviate. Change the things around you that are stifling your creative nature. You can start with your physical surroundings and then people you interact with. Find a creative and quiet space. Interact with people who inspire and encourage you. Rich and varied surroundings are conducive to creative thinking. Here's some more. Have some more helpful tips for you. Have high standards for your work. Have the courage to try something you've never done before. Know when to let go of a problem and allow it to incubate for a while. We talked about that earlier. Technical skills. Technical skills are important, but they're not enough. You must have creative thinking skills to complement them. We talked about using both sides of our brain in working together in harmony. And take a leap of faith. Woohoo! And you must have passion. Passion is the urge to do something for the sheer pleasure of doing it, rather than for any prize or compensation. People who care passionately about what they are doing don't give up easily. And recognize that intense emotions play a key role in generating new ideas. Be willing to take risks. Creative people are not only open to new experiences, they're willing to take risks. They have the courage to take risks. People often hold back in their efforts because they are afraid of making mistakes. They can be embarrassing or humiliating, but if you take no chances and you make no mistakes, you fail to learn, let alone do anything innovative. Creative people make more mistakes than their less imaginative peers. Finding the courage to embrace your anxieties and take the next step is essential to your creativity. Therefore, anxiety is actually vital, but the willingness to face it is what makes you a true artist. You want to know the difference between a master and a beginner? The master has failed more times than the beginner has ever tried. And Albert Einstein said, a person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. So breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out, and then deeper. Let your ideas flow. In the flow state, You can be so thoroughly and enjoyably engaged in an activity that nothing else seems to matter. The separation between the doer and the doing vanishes. There exists a state of complete absorption in which all self-consciousness disappears. Make use of your courage and enable your compassion for songwriting to illuminate the world. The intuition within yourself already knows the creative solution to any problem you come across. The song is written. You just need to find it. You just need to tune in. You are a songwriting superstar. Your ideas can change the world. I believe that, and I believe in you. I learned this, at least, by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Go write a song.